Maria, the waitress, moving gracefully behind the bar. The atmosphere in the cocktail bar is quiet, a gentle hum of low conversations and soft jazz music filling the air. The bar is dimly lit, with gleaming glasses and flickering candlelight on the tables. The customers are familiar faces, each lost in their own world. Maria glides between the tables, her movements smooth and effortless, but there's something almost melancholic in the way she carries herself. She's the background figure, a professional doing her job without much attention. She exchanges polite smiles and brief pleasantries with the regular patrons, but it's clear, she's not looking for connection. She's just here to work. Her uniform is simple yet neat and well kept, a reflection of her practical and quiet nature. The camera focuses on her calm demeanor, despite the routine nature of her job. She serves drinks, refills glasses, and ensures everything runs smoothly without drawing attention to herself. "Can I get you something else?" she asked, her voice soft yet warm as she refilled the glass in front of an older gentleman. She kept her eyes down, focusing on her task as she always did. As she moved across the room, she couldn't help but observe the small, fleeting interactions between the patrons. The laughter, the shared stories, the flirtatious glances, all of it was so familiar but still so distant for her. "I've always been just a waitress, but it's enough for me," Maria thought to herself as she wiped a glass and placed it back on the shelf. Maria's thoughts are interrupted by the sudden sound of the door opening, signaling the arrival of a new customer. But today feels different. There's a strange energy in the air, almost like the calm before a storm. She doesn't know it yet, but this night will be unlike any other. The sound of the bar door's gentle ding echoed through the quiet space, its tone sharper than usual in the otherwise calm atmosphere. The room shifted slightly as the door opened, allowing a rush of cool night air to sweep in. For a moment, everything seemed to pause. The soft jazz music in the background continued to play, but it now seemed almost distant, as if everything was drawing back in anticipation. And then he entered. Richard Carver, the billionaire, walked in with the kind of presence that immediately changed the room. His movements were deliberate, smooth, and filled with confidence, but there was something almost intangible about the way he carried himself. His designer suit was perfectly tailored, and his polished shoes clicked sharply against the hardwood floor as he made his way to the bar. He exuded wealth, not in the loud, brash way some might imagine, but in a more quiet, powerful manner that was unmistakable. Maria, caught mid-task, noticed him immediately. The patrons, all regulars who had grown accustomed to the usual crowd, paused briefly and looked up at him. Some were taken aback, others tried to play it cool, but there was no denying the aura of opulence and power that surrounded him. He didn't speak immediately, but instead, his eyes scanned the room, briefly making eye contact with a few people. His gaze seemed to touch everyone, but not in a way that felt personal. He was there, but he wasn't, as though he were studying the scene rather than truly participating in it. Maria's eyes lingered on him for a moment longer than she'd intended. She wasn't sure what it was about him. Maybe it was the way he carried himself, or the subtle aura of authority that seemed to ripple around him. There was a quiet intensity to him, almost like he was waiting for something or someone. He wasn't like the usual customers, that much was clear. He didn't sit down right away. Instead, he walked toward the bar slowly, each step purposeful and calculated. As Maria watched him approach, she felt a strange stir of curiosity, something she didn't usually allow herself to feel. Normally, she would have turned back to her work without giving it another thought, but this time she couldn't look away. It was as though something about his presence demanded her attention. Richard finally reached the bar, his eyes catching hers as if on cue. He smiled, but it was more of a knowing smirk, as though he had already sized her up. "A drink, but make it something special, just like me," he said, his voice smooth and calm, yet filled with an undertone of something more commanding and self-assured. His words felt almost like a challenge. Maria blinked, momentarily stunned by his directness. For a second she forgot to speak. It wasn't as though she hadn't served people like him before, the rich, the powerful, the ones who didn't say much but expected everything. But something about the way he spoke, with the subtle power in his tone and the intensity of his gaze, felt different. Without skipping a beat, she responded, forcing a polite smile back onto her face, though she couldn't quite shake the feeling that this moment was different than all the others. "Of course, sir. What can I get for you?" Her voice was professional, but there was a hint of hesitation in her words, a hint that she wasn't quite sure how to handle someone like him. He simply nodded, his eyes still locked with hers for a beat longer than what felt comfortable. "Surprise me, Maria?" He didn't say anything more. He just stood there waiting for her to act. Maria took a step back, slightly caught off guard. The rest of the bar seemed to come alive again, but the space around Richard remained almost untouched. He was a figure that stood apart from the rest, and Maria found herself intrigued by him, her hands working a little faster now as she prepared the drink. She was used to the usual routine, but this wasn't a regular customer. Something about him felt like he had a bigger purpose. He wasn't just here for a drink, he was here to make a statement. As Richard sits down at the bar, the entire atmosphere seems to shift. The chatter in the room grows quieter, and even the clink of glasses sounds different. For a moment, Maria feels like the world is on pause, all eyes somehow focused on the space between her and Richard. His presence is magnetic, drawing the attention of everyone around him without any effort at all. Maria shakes her head, trying to refocus. This is just another customer, she tells herself, trying to suppress the unfamiliar nerves beginning to churn in her stomach. She's worked with powerful people before, wealthy businessmen, CEOs, and high-profile figures, but there was something about Richard that made him stand apart. His quiet confidence, his calm but assertive presence, made her feel almost as if he were more than just a man ordering a drink. It was as if he knew something she didn't, something about this moment that made it significant. Her hands are steady as she prepares his drink, her mind racing. She tries to ignore the pull of his gaze, but it feels like his eyes are constantly following her every move. What is it about him? Maria can't shake the feeling that this is no ordinary night. As she prepares the drink, she starts thinking about how his words were different from other customers. Make it something special, just like me? What did he mean by that? Did he see something in her? Or was he simply trying to make a statement? It felt like he was playing some kind of silent game, and for the first time in a long time, Maria felt unsure of her role in the exchange. She wasn't just serving drinks now, she was part of something larger. As she finishes preparing the drink, Maria sets it down in front of him with a soft smile. She's careful, controlled, but there's a slight tremor in her fingers as she places the glass in front of him. His eyes never leave her. "It's exactly what you asked for, Mr. Carver," she says, her voice steady but betraying a hint of curiosity. She didn't call him, sir, like she would any other customer. For some reason, she didn't feel the need to be overly formal with him. Richard takes the drink, his fingers grazing hers just lightly enough for her to notice. The contact sends a subtle shock through her, but she quickly suppresses it. "What's wrong with me?" She chides herself, but her mind is elsewhere, still caught in the tension of the moment. "Thank you, Maria," Richard says, his voice smooth and deep. "You've been working here long?" Maria blinks, surprised by the question. Normally, customers didn't care much about her. They were only interested in their drinks and the occasional small talk. But Richard, he was different. The question was casual, yet there was an undercurrent of something more, something that made her feel like this wasn't just idle curiosity. "I've been here a while," Maria replies, her voice a little quieter now, unsure of what to say next. "I know the regulars." Richard's lips curl into a small, knowing smile. "I'm not a regular." His words hang in the air, and Maria wonders what he means by that. She's not sure if he's referring to the bar her or something else entirely. Before she can respond, he continues, leaning slightly closer. "You're different from the others here." The way he says it makes her feel like he's seen something in her that no one else has, something that makes her heart race just a little faster. Richard leans back in his chair, swirling his drink casually as Maria stands frozen for a moment. His words linger in the air, weighing on her more than she expected. She knows she should walk away, go back to her usual routine, but something about the encounter feels far from ordinary. There's a spark in the air, something between them that can't quite be explained. As Maria begins to turn back toward the counter, trying to shake the thoughts from her mind, she realizes something. The conversation isn't over. He's not done with her, not yet. And in that moment, she feels something she hasn't felt in years, the faintest stir of excitement. After the brief, intense exchange at the bar, the air between them feels charged. Maria returns to her routine, but her mind is far from focused on the other customers. The words Richard said, "You're different from the others here," replay in her mind over and over. She keeps glancing back at him as he sits at the bar, swirling his drink lazily, his eyes following her every move. Her heart races, but she tries to ignore it, forcing herself to focus on the task at hand. She can't afford to get lost in this. It's just a conversation. No big deal, right? Still, something feels different, something she can't quite put into words. Then suddenly Richard stands up. The action is smooth, almost too fluid, and it draws her attention immediately. He walks towards her, his steps steady, confident. As he nears, the room seems to shrink, and for the first time, Maria feels like she is the only person in the space with him. Richard stops just short of the bar counter. His gaze never leaves hers, a look of knowing in his eyes, as though he already knows what she's thinking, what she's feeling. For a moment, Maria forgets how to breathe. "Maria, I like your style," Richard says, his voice smooth, yet with an edge of authority that catches her off guard. "You're not like the others here, the ones just going through the motions. You have real potential. And I don't waste time on people who don't recognize that in themselves." Maria's pulse quickens. She's not sure why she feels the need to defend herself, but her instincts push her to ask, "What do you mean?" "I'm just a waitress." Richard smiles, a small knowing curve of his lips. It's almost patronizing, yet there's something about it that makes her want to listen, to understand what he's about to say. "You see, Maria," he begins, leaning in slightly, "I run a business empire. I own properties, companies, and investments, but I don't surround myself with yes men or yes women." His gaze sharpens. "I need people who have the right instincts, the right drive. People who want something more than a 9 to 5. Maria stands frozen, her mind racing to catch up with what he's saying. She's never had a conversation like this before, certainly not with someone like him. She's worked in the bar for years, serving drinks, but now it feels like the world has shifted, and she's not sure how to react. Richard takes a step back, his tone softening just slightly. "I'm giving you a choice, Maria. You can stay here, keep doing what you're doing, or you can join me. I've got an opportunity for someone who can think beyond the bar, beyond the usual limitations. It's a risk, yes, but it could change everything for you." Maria's mind is swirling, her emotions a tangled mess. Stay here? Or join him in this world she doesn't understand? She's never thought about leaving her life behind. This is all she's ever known. But there's something in his words, the conviction in his voice, that makes her hesitate. Is it possible? Could she actually leave her comfortable, predictable life and step into something completely new? She's scared, but she's also intrigued. This is ridiculous, she thinks, trying to push the thought away. But the truth is, the idea of something bigger, something outside the confines of the bar, has been nagging at her for some time now. Could this be her chance? Richard waits for her response, his expression unreadable, but there's a hint of expectation in his eyes. Maria can feel the weight of the decision before her. Everything about this moment feels important, like it's one of those rare times in life when you have to make a choice that could define your future. She knows she can't just walk away from this. Not now. She stands there, almost paralyzed by the gravity of the offer, as the weight of his words settles over her. After a long, heavy silence, Maria finally speaks. "What's the catch?" Richard's smile widens. "There's always a catch, Maria," he says, his voice low and confident. "But the reward is worth it. You'll see." Maria returns to her small apartment after her shift. The city outside her window is alive, but inside, it feels like the world is on pause. She drops her purse on the kitchen table, kicking off her shoes as she walks to the window. The moonlight reflects off the distant skyscrapers, casting an eerie glow across the empty streets below. She stares out into the city for a long while, lost in her thoughts. The sound of traffic, the occasional honk, and the murmur of distant voices seem to fade away. Her mind is consumed with Richard's offer, a life she never imagined, yet one that promises something more than the life she's been living. "I'm just a waitress," she whispers to herself, as if the words could ground her in the comfort of the familiar. The bar, the regulars, the tips, they've all been enough. Haven't they? But a part of her knows it's not enough. Not anymore. She walks to the small kitchen counter where a notebook and pen are neatly set. She picks up the pen, her fingers shaky, and starts writing. "Is this what I want?" she writes on the page. The pen moves slowly as she continues to scribble her thoughts. "I know Richard sees something in me. But what if he's wrong? What if I'm not cut out for this life? It's easy to stay where I am, where I'm comfortable. But can I really stay here forever, serving drinks to people who don't even see me?" She puts the pen down, leaning back against the counter. The weight of the decision presses on her chest, the thoughts swirling around in her head. Comfort versus ambition. The familiar routine of the bar, where she knows her role, versus the unknown world Richard promises. She sighs and walks over to her small couch, sitting down heavily. The choice feels overwhelming. She's always been a person who prefers certainty, who keeps to herself. She's not the type to take risks or leap into unfamiliar situations. Yet Richard's words keep echoing in her mind. "I need people who have real potential." Was he talking about her? Did he see something she didn't? She picks up the notebook again, staring at the blank page in front of her. She can't deny the part of her that's excited by the possibility of something more, something bigger than this small, repetitive life she's known. But what if she's not capable of it? What if she fails? The internal battle grows stronger, the silence of the apartment amplifying her doubts. Maria's thoughts spiral. If I take this leap, there's no turning back. I'll be leaving everything behind, the only life I've known. The thought of stepping into a new world is terrifying. The idea of being the center of attention, making high-stakes decisions, and dealing with people like Richard Carver is completely foreign to her. It's not just about taking a job, it's about changing her entire identity. The thought of failure paralyzes her. What if she's not meant for this kind of world? What if she's just a small-town girl incapable of breaking free from the confines of her life? She feels out of place, like an imposter in a world that doesn't belong to her. But then again, what if Richard's right? What if she does have potential, something more than just a waitress in a bar? Could she be more than just the girl who refills drinks? Could she become someone with real influence, a person who matters in a world of wealth and power? The fear of failure is real, but so is the desire for something greater. She's torn between the safety of what she knows and the tantalizing promise of a future that could be so much more, if she's willing to take the chance. Maria stands up from the couch, pacing back and forth in the dim light of the apartment. The decision is weighing heavily on her, and she knows she needs to make a choice. The clock is ticking and the opportunity won't be there forever. As the clock ticks away, Maria feels like time is slipping through her fingers, and she's running out of excuses. The apartment feels smaller now, the walls closing in as she contemplates the choices ahead. Maria stands outside the bar, the cool night air brushing against her skin as she waits. She pulls her coat tighter around her, staring down at the business card Richard gave her earlier. The golden card gleams in the dim light, its weight almost symbolic of the decision she's about to make. She feels out of place, standing here, waiting for a man who lives a life so different from hers. The bustling streets around her seem distant now, the noise fading as her thoughts crowd her mind. She hasn't been able to shake the conversation she had with Richard earlier. His words keep ringing in her ears, replaying in a loop. You're not like the others here. I need people who have real potential. And yet, here she is in a world she doesn't quite belong to. What if she doesn't have the potential he's talking about? What if she's just fooling herself? Just as her doubts start to overwhelm her, she sees a sleek, black car pull up in front of her. The driver steps out, opening the door for her. Richard Carver is inside, looking as confident as ever, dressed impeccably in a dark suit that seems to command attention. He doesn't look surprised to see her. In fact, he seems as though he expected her to be here, waiting for him. Maria, he says, his voice low and smooth, carrying an almost effortless charm. I'm glad you came. I knew you would. Maria hesitates for a moment before getting into the car. As she slides into the seat beside him, she feels the weight of his gaze on her. He's studying her, sizing her up, and for a moment she feels like an open book. So, have you made your decision? Richard asks, his tone casual but with an underlying urgency. There's no small talk, no preamble. He gets straight to the point. Maria looks out the window, the city lights blurring as the car begins to move. Her heart is pounding in her chest. This is it, the moment she's been dreading, the moment she's been fantasizing about. She's about to make a decision that will change her life. I don't know, she says quietly, her voice trembling slightly. What is it exactly that you want from me? Richard's gaze softens just a fraction, and he leans back in his seat, looking ahead as the city lights flicker past them. He doesn't answer her question right away. Instead, he takes a moment, letting the tension between them build. I don't want anything from you, Maria, he finally says, his voice smooth but with an edge of finality. I'm offering you something more than just a job. He pauses, letting his words settle in the air. I want to give you a chance to build something, to make something of yourself. I'm not asking you to be a part of my company, I'm asking you to be a part of something bigger. Maria doesn't respond immediately. She's still processing his words, her mind racing. This isn't just a job offer. He's offering her a new life, one she's not sure she's ready for. You see, Maria, Richard continues, his voice more intense now, I've seen people like you, people who've never had the chance to break free from their circumstances. But I know what you're capable of. I can see it in your eyes. Maria feels a strange stir of excitement mixed with doubt. She can feel her breath catch in her throat. This is more than just an offer. It feels like a promise, a chance at something she's never dared to hope for. Maria's thoughts are scattered as she listens to Richard. Everything he's saying sounds so compelling, so full of possibility. But it also sounds like a huge risk. She's been content with her life, simple as it may be. She's never dreamed big. But now, this man is offering her a chance at a life beyond anything she's imagined. She feels torn. The excitement of a new beginning is tempting, but the fear of failure weighs heavily on her heart. Could she actually do it? Could she rise to the challenge and become someone who makes an impact? I don't know, Richard. Her voice shakes slightly as she speaks, betraying her nerves. What if I'm not ready? What if I'm just not cut out for this kind of life? Richard's eyes are intense, but his expression softens as he turns toward her. He places a hand on hers, his touch firm but not forceful. You won't know unless you try, Maria. He smiles, the expression both reassuring and challenging. And if you don't try, you'll never get the chance to know. The car continues down the road, the city lights flickering past them like fleeting moments in time. Richard's words hang in the air, and Maria is left to process them. She's at a crossroads, and she knows that whichever path she chooses will define her future. The car ride feels endless, and yet she knows that she's running out of time. The following day, Maria returns to the bar, her mind still reeling from her meeting with Richard. The usual hum of conversations and the clinking of glasses feel distant as she mechanically goes about her work. Her thoughts are consumed with the meeting, his words echoing in her head. The feeling that something bigger is out there, something that could change her entire life, refuses to leave her. She can't focus, and she feels herself becoming increasingly restless. The bar, the regulars, the quiet routine, it all feels so small compared to what Richard had promised her. The world outside, where Richard Carver exists, seems so far removed from her own. Her thoughts are interrupted by the sudden sound of the door opening. She looks up, expecting to see another regular customer, but instead, it's Richard. His presence fills the room, his confident stride making the other patrons glance up briefly before returning to their own conversations. Maria's heart skips a beat, and she immediately wonders what he's doing here. She's already made up her mind, she's going to take his offer seriously, but this visit makes everything feel more real. Richard walks toward her, his eyes locked on hers, and she feels a mix of anticipation and nervousness. He stops in front of her, a faint smile playing on his lips as he leans against the bar. I see you've thought about my offer, Richard says, his voice calm but with an undertone of expectation. He doesn't ask if she's made a decision yet, it's almost as if he already knows she's leaning toward saying yes. Maria nods, trying to appear more confident than she feels. I've been thinking about it a lot. Richard's eyes gleam with approval. Good. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. He pauses, studying her with an intensity that makes her feel exposed. But here's the thing, Maria. This life, this world I'm offering you, isn't for everyone. His voice drops lower as if letting her in on a secret. It's not enough to just want it. You need to prove you're worthy of it. Maria frowns, unsure of what he means. Prove it? Her voice is quiet, filled with uncertainty. Richard straightens up and takes a step back, looking at her like a mentor sizing up a student. Yes. He meets her gaze, his expression firm. You have potential, but potential means nothing if you can't back it up. I'm not interested in giving handouts. This isn't a charity. I'm offering you the chance to join me, but you'll have to show me you're capable. Maria's heart begins to race. The weight of his words hits her like a punch to the gut. What does he mean by proving herself? Is he going to make her jump through hoops, face challenges that push her past her comfort zone? Richard steps closer, his eyes unwavering. I've seen people with great potential fall apart under pressure. I need to know you won't. That when you face obstacles, you'll rise to meet them. Maria's throat tightens. The reality of the decision she's about to make suddenly feels much more complicated. She thought she could just step into this world, learn the ropes, and become something more, but now it feels like a test, one that could either make or break her. Maria feels a rush of anxiety and fear swirl within her, but she forces herself to remain composed. Her mind races through her options. She's never had to prove herself to anyone, at least not like this. She's always been the quiet observer, content with her job and her routine. But this is different. If she's going to step into Richard's world, it's going to require more than just showing up. It's going to require a level of commitment and resilience she's never had to muster before. But then again, isn't that the point? This is the chance to become someone different, someone with the power to make a real impact. To prove that she can rise above the limitations she's placed on herself. But Richard is right. Potential means nothing if she can't handle what's coming next. The world he's offering her won't be easy. It will test her, push her to her limits. And she'll need to decide if she's ready for that challenge. Richard's gaze softens, sensing her inner turmoil, and he gives her a small, almost encouraging smile. I don't expect you to have all the answers right now, but I do expect you to make a choice. If you want in, you'll have to show me you're willing to put in the work. Are you ready for that? Asterisk asterisk. Maria stands still for a moment, feeling the weight of his words settle in her chest. The choice before her is clearer now, but it feels heavier than ever. The bar, the familiar faces, the same routine, they all seem so far away now. In this moment, Maria knows that everything is about to change, and the only question left is, will she rise to the challenge? The next few days blur together for Maria as she wrestles with the decision that looms over her. She feels the weight of Richard's challenge pressing on her shoulders, his words echoing in her mind every waking moment. Is she ready for this? Can she truly step into this world, leave behind the only life she's known, and transform into someone she doesn't even recognize? Her days at the bar feel heavier now, as though she's living in a world that no longer fits her. The familiar faces, the regulars who wave as she serves drinks, now feel like shadows. Everything seems so small compared to the grandeur Richard promised. She starts to wonder if staying here, safe, predictable, comfortable, is the same as settling. Maria walks into her apartment after another long shift. The silence of the empty space hits her as she takes off her coat and hangs it up. She feels the walls closing in, the same walls she's lived behind for years. The weight of the decision presses heavily on her chest. She walks over to the window looking out at the city below. The streets are bustling with life, but she feels distant, almost like she's watching someone else's world unfold. Her reflection in the glass is distorted, the blurry image of a woman caught between two realities. What am I doing? Maria asks herself, staring at the city lights. I've always been just a waitress, but that doesn't feel like enough anymore. Her voice is barely above a whisper, but the words carry the truth she's been avoiding for so long. She paces around the room trying to keep her thoughts organized. But what if I fail? She stops and looks at herself in the mirror. What if I can't handle it? What if I'm not made for that kind of world? Her hands grip the edge of the countertop, the reality of her situation sinking in. She wants more, she knows that. But is she brave enough to reach for it? Maria's thoughts spiral into confusion and self-doubt. On one hand, she's terrified of stepping into a world that's unfamiliar, a world of power and expectation. She's been comfortable in her little bubble, her role as the quiet waitress who goes unnoticed. But Richard's offer makes her question everything she's ever known. Could I really leave all of this behind? She thinks as the apartment feels smaller with each passing moment. She spent her whole life serving drinks, following the same routine day after day. Is this all she's capable of? The idea of being stuck here forever fills her with a deep sense of regret. She wants more, but the fear of failure is paralyzing. The words Richard spoke about potential ring in her ears. She's always wondered if there was something more inside her. Maybe Richard saw it even if she didn't. But could she trust him? Or was he just another person using her for their own benefit? Maria's fingers tighten around the notebook on the desk. She's been writing down her thoughts for days, trying to make sense of everything. Each entry is filled with hope and fear, a reflection of the internal battle she's facing. She begins to write again. Can I do this? Can I leave behind everything I know and step into a life that could be so much bigger? Will Richard see me for what I really am, or am I just a pawn in his world? She stares at the words on the page, each one weighing heavily on her heart. It feels like the answers are just out of reach, always slipping through her fingers when she thinks she's close. But as she sits there, the weight of the decision becoming unbearable, something shifts. Her mind begins to quiet, and a sense of clarity washes over her. She knows what she has to do. With a deep breath, Maria closes the notebook and stands up. The apartment feels empty, but somehow, it also feels like it's no longer hers. She knows she can't stay here. This life, as comfortable as it is, doesn't serve her anymore. She's ready for more, for the challenge Richard set before her. She picks up her phone and dials the number Richard gave her. The call rings once, twice, and then he picks up. Maria. His voice is smooth, like he was waiting for her call. I'm in. The words are simple, but they carry the weight of everything she's felt in the past few days. She's made her choice. Richard's voice shifts, warm but still firm. Good. You're about to enter a new world, Maria. Don't look back. Maria smiles faintly, her heart still racing, but now with a sense of excitement. I won't. Maria hangs up the phone, the decision finally made. She feels a sense of relief wash over her. The weight that had been pressing on her chest for days is gone. She's stepping into the unknown, and while it scares her, she knows it's the right choice. She looks out the window once more, but this time instead of feeling distant, she feels connected. The future is wide open and she's ready to face it head on. It's the first day of Maria's new life, though she doesn't quite feel ready for it. As she walks into Richard's office, the world around her feels both familiar and unfamiliar at the same time. The grandiose, modern building with its polished floors and high ceilings seems like something out of a dream, a place where only people like Richard Carver belong. Yet here she is trying to fit into a world she never thought she'd be a part of. She walks through the gleaming corridors, her heart racing as she approaches Richard's office. The sound of her footsteps echoes around her, and for the first time she feels the weight of the choice she made. This is real now. This isn't a fantasy. She's stepping into something that could change her life forever. When she reaches Richard's office, she pauses for a moment, taking a deep breath. The door opens smoothly as she steps inside, where Richard is waiting for her, his usual calm demeanor apparent, though his eyes hold something else now, a quiet expectation. "Maria, glad you could make it." His voice is warm, but it carries the weight of authority. Maria looks around the office, noting the luxury and precision of every detail. The leather chairs, the artwork on the walls, the sleek design of the desk. It's a world that Maria has never been a part of. But now it's hers to navigate. "This is your first day, Maria?" Richard walks around his desk and stands beside her, his eyes assessing her quietly. "You won't be serving drinks today. You'll be learning." Maria stands tall, feeling a rush of nervousness mixed with excitement. She's here and this is her chance to prove herself. "What do you want me to do?" she asks, her voice steady despite the uncertainty bubbling inside her. Richard smiles, a flicker of approval crossing his features. "I want you to understand the business. You're going to start with something small, but it will show me what you're made of. I want to see how you handle things when the pressure's on. When things aren't easy. That's when the real test begins." Maria's mind races. Pressure. She'd never thought of herself as someone who could thrive under pressure. But now it's clear that this new world isn't about comfort. It's about growth. And if she's going to succeed, she needs to push through the fear that's been holding her back. "All right, I'm ready, Richard," Maria says, surprising herself with the confidence in her voice. She looks him straight in the eye. She's not going to let fear win. Richard nods, pleased with her response. "Good." He hands her a folder filled with documents. "This is a contract we need to finalize. You'll be making calls, negotiating with partners, and doing research. The pressure will build quickly, but that's how you'll learn. And that's how you'll prove you're ready for more." As the hours pass, Maria dives into the tasks Richard has set for her. She starts making calls to clients, investors, and partners, her voice firm as she relays the necessary information. At first, she feels out of place, like an imposter trying to wear someone else's shoes. But with every call, every conversation, she begins to find her footing. There are moments of doubt when she's unsure of herself. What if she messes up? What if she sounds inexperienced? But with each passing hour, she feels herself growing, adapting to the pressure that had once seemed so overwhelming. Maria starts to notice small changes in herself. Her confidence grows as she speaks to people in the industry, and she begins to realize that she's not as out of place as she once thought. She's capable of more than just serving drinks. She has the skills to do this, she just has to believe it. By the end of the day, Maria sits in Richard's office once again, exhausted but proud. She's managed to complete everything Richard asked of her, and more. She feels like a different person. The shy, reserved waitress is gone. In her place is someone who knows what she's capable of, someone who has proven she can handle the pressure. Richard watches her with a knowing smile, his arms crossed as he leans against his desk. "You did well today, Maria." There's an almost imperceptible shift in his tone, approval mixed with something else. "Respect." Maria smiles back, the exhaustion from the day not weighing her down as much as it should. She feels a sense of accomplishment that she's never felt before. This is just the beginning, but she's ready for whatever comes next. Weeks have passed since Maria took the leap into Richard's world. The initial pressure and uncertainty of the challenge have transformed into something else entirely, confidence and purpose. Maria no longer feels out of place in this high-powered world. She's adapted, grown, and proven to herself that she's capable of handling everything that's been thrown her way. Her office now feels familiar, the sleek furniture, the piles of contracts, the never-ending calls. What once felt like an overwhelming mountain of pressure has become a new normal. She's learned to thrive under pressure, to make decisions, to negotiate, and to stand her ground. But as she stares out of her office window at the city below, Maria realizes that this is just the beginning. The weight of her decision still feels real, but the excitement that comes with it far outweighs the fear. Maria stands in front of the window, her arms crossed as she watches the world go by. The sky is clear, the city sparkling below. For a moment she feels a sense of pride. She's made it here to this point because of her own hard work and determination. She chose this. I can't believe how far I've come. Her voice is quiet, but the sense of accomplishment is undeniable. The girl who once served drinks to strangers is now someone who makes decisions, someone who holds influence. Just then, Richard enters the office, his usual calm demeanor present but with a subtle smile on his face. He looks at Maria, his eyes scanning her as though measuring her progress. You've done well, Maria, Richard says, his voice smooth and approving. You've passed the test. But this is just the beginning. There's much more ahead. Maria turns to face him, a sense of confidence now present in her eyes. I know. And I'm ready. As Richard walks out of the office, Maria sits at her desk, looking at the pile of contracts in front of her. The weight of the world is still there, but now it feels like she has control over it. She picks up the next contract, reading through it with the same confidence that's now become a part of her. Maria's phone buzzes. It's a new opportunity, an email about a potential partnership that could take her work to the next level. The excitement in her chest flares up. She's no longer overwhelmed. She's ready for whatever comes next. She picks up the phone, quickly typing out a response. The offer is hers to take and she's going to grab it with both hands. As Maria closes the contract and looks out the window once more, the world below seems just a little bit smaller, a little less daunting. The unknown no longer feels like a threat. It feels like an adventure, one that she's ready to embrace. Her journey has only just begun, and she's ready to write the next chapter. She's no longer just a waitress. She's Maria, a woman who decided to step into the unknown, and in doing so, she has transformed her life.